What's up, fishing fanatics? So just kind of continuing with what I went on before, and I'm sure you guys are probably getting tired of hearing it by now, but I'm going to do one more breeding video simply because I want to. I'll probably do another one after this as well, just to kind of cover some of the basis of what we have. These are, and I've done a video like this prior on cherry shrimp, but I figured I would cover the blue velvets since these guys have spawned a lot lately. There's a lot of them that we've seen. So breeding shrimp, pretty simple, straightforward process. Make sure that you get the water to the appropriate temperature. We normally run ours at right around 72, 73, somewhere in that range. But between 72 and 74, depending on what the temperature outside is. So I think this one's running at about 73 right now. But you can see that there's quite a few adults in here. There's one just kicking back on the shell back there, and we can see the one swimming around. And these, I've showed you guys let's focus. I have faith that you can focus. Oh, come on, focus for me. Thank you. I've showed you guys a video of these a little bit earlier. It's having a really hard time focusing. I'm really sorry. But anyways, of all of the baby shrimp, and it's just having a really hard time focusing in on these guys right now. You can see this one's a little bit younger too. But if it would, there we go. That's a little bit better. You can see we've got quite a few babies in here. These guys, if you watch the series at all or watch the channel at all, you saw these guys when they were itty bitty, like tiny. This is only a couple weeks. Shrimp grow very fast. So you can see that they've already started to grow. There's another one there that was a baby. There's more over here, which it's really hard to see, and I apologize for that. Camera's having a really hard time focusing. There's a bunch back there. There's babies everywhere in this tank right now. all sizes and colors, and there's another one right there. But yeah, it's crazy to think how fast these things can breed, and you can kind of see there as well. They're swimming around. Those are the males. Males tend to be more active, lighter in color. Females are a lot darker, tend to be a lot more calm and passive and just kind of kick back and don't do a whole lot of swimming around. They like to graze a lot more. But males and females together create a beautiful thing. And that's what you get these out of. So basically, to breed a cherry shrimp, or any shrimp rather, be it a blue velvet, a cherry, a yellow, green jade, and you can kind of see that there's, I'll hop over here real quick and I'll show this poster after we got it, but there's all these different kinds of shrimps. And to breed any of these shrimps, it's essentially the same thing. Make sure their water parameters are good. If they're neocardinas, they do pretty good. They do pretty well in harder water. If they are caridinias, they need softer water. Reality is, they're going to work whatever works for you. Caridinia, you do need softer water. Neocaridinias, you do need harder water, but you don't have to have a specific set of parameters in terms of how hard or how soft. And I only say that because they've been brought up in every type of water possible. So it's just, you have to play it by ear, and you want them to adjust to your water, because the worst thing you can do is have to constantly play with your salinity or alkalinity and never have constant parameters, because that's when you start getting into issues. If you can get them in and get them used to your water right out of the tap, you put it in, use something like a stabilizer that dechlorinates the water as you're putting it in. That's what they're used to. You don't have to worry about trying to balance everything out, adding a bunch of chemicals. The fewer chemicals, the better. And once they get used to your water, they will do this. They will breed. So there's a couple different processes to breeding shrimp, and essentially, there's one of the celestial pearl fry that's getting bigger too. Anyways, One of the key factors to breeding shrimp is to make sure that their water level is where it needs to be. Make sure that the shrimp are happy, that they're swimming around, that they're active, that they're doing what they need to do to be happy. They have a ton of coverage. As you can see, we have a huge mat in here. We also have a lot of Java moss. All of our shrimp tanks look like this. We always have a ton of coverage in there for that reason. Because what they will do is a shrimp will become pregnant, essentially, and she'll be called saddled. And I don't think we have any saddled females in here right now that are out in the open, but what that is when you look at the back of the female, you will see a yellow or a white square on her back. That means that she essentially is carrying eggs and she is ready to have babies. After a couple of weeks, they'll drop from her back into her abdomen, and you'll see a big bulge in her abdomen, and you'll see that same color, that yellowish, whitish color. That is called berry. Because when you look at them, it looks like they're carrying berries in their belly. And you'll see that she's fanning her eggs. So you'll see eggs coming out, going in, coming out, going in. Her back legs are constantly going to be fanning them, keeping them clean of fungus and any type of bacteria. After 3 weeks, 4 weeks usually, she'll drop those eggs after they become fertilized, and you'll have these. The eggs themselves won't, I should rephrase, the eggs themselves won't be dropped. What happens is they get fertilized, and as they hatch, they come out. So shrimp are kind of like a live bear in that sense, but they also have eggs, and the eggs are out in the open. They just protect them a little bit better. It's kind of like a weird balance. They are egg carriers or egg layers, but they essentially give live birth at the same time. It's pretty cool. Excuse me. So, I mean, to breed them, it's pretty simple. Again, just make sure that the water parameters are good. You know, you want to make sure you're at the appropriate level temperature. They have plenty of light, plenty of coverage. That you have, you know, a couple males, 1 or 2 males will populate a tank very, very well with 3 or 4 females. It's just, you don't need a whole lot of males because they get around, so to speak. They just do what they do. They go from female to female and make sure that they carry their line on. And as you can see, these are all babies that have grown up a little bit. But that's pretty it. It's pretty straightforward. It's not very hard at all. More females than males, lots of coverage. Make sure that the water parameters are good and make sure that they're happy. As long as they're swimming around and eating, you have plenty of food in there, plenty of stuff for them to graze off of, it's good. One recommendation, which I also made in the previous videos, have your mats out, your Java moss, your Naja grass, whatever it may be. Leave them in there for about a month before you add any actual shrimp or fish, because that gives them a chance to grow, you know, different particulates, bacteria, stuff like that the babies can graze on, and that the shrimp, the adults, will graze on too. It's constant food source for them, so you don't have to worry about feeding them as much. But when it comes to shrimps, that's pretty much it. Just make sure you're doing water changes about once a month. You don't have to really do a lot of water changing on shrimps. They leave a very, very, very small footprint when it comes to tank quality. Even if you have a couple hundred shrimp in there, you only got to change about 15 to 20% of the water once a month. After you get over that 100 shrimp mark is when you want to start kind of weaning out a little bit. Frequent water changes can kind of mess things up, the bio load up a little bit, and kind of mess up their routine. They're creatures of habit, so the less you have to mess with the tank, the better off you are. Once you get into that 100 shrimp territory, and I've seen people keep as many as 200 in a 20-gallon tank, you can do it. It's just, like I said, you gotta be a little more careful. If it's super heavily planted, you can get away with it a little bit better, because plants do help balance out a tank. If you don't know that, the more plants you have, the healthier your tank will be in general. Live plants, at least. Big plants aren't going to do it. You need live plants. They'll help balance out a tank as well. So something to keep in mind. Shrimp are pretty easy to maintain. Lots of wood in there to help them. kind of hide. They need a lot of hiding places. Moss is okay. And you can see that we have some algae growing over there. There's, like I said, a ton of Java moss. You know, we have a huge mat. I forget what this is actually called, but algae is perfectly fine too because they'll graze on algae as well. And that's why we left the shell in here for quite some time to moss up. But they're pretty simple to maintain and pretty straightforward when it comes to breeding. Set them in, give them a lot of places to hide, make sure they're well fed, they're happy. And that's it. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, let me know in the box below. As always, we're open to suggestions. If you haven't already, do us a favor, hit that like, subscribe, and share button. Let's get some more people into the fish keeping hobby. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, happy fish keeping.